Hello, I welcome all of you to VCU Physics Labs. I am the Physics Lab Coordinator, Dr. Samanthi Brahmarachi. In this short video, I will give you a brief introduction to Physics Labs. Physics 101, that is the Foundation of Physics Lab class, that's a standalone one credit science class that offered through VCU Physics. Physics 201, 202, 207, and 208 are lab classes that's part of your lecture class. So if you have registered in any of these classes, you are required to take a lab class. For Physics 201 and 202, you have registered according to the lab classes. For 207 and 208, lab classes are listed separately from the lecture classes. So if you have registered for your lecture class, you need to register to a lab class separately. Please check the e-services and make sure you have registered to a lab class. Labs are meeting in the Temple building, that's in the West Main Street, and these are the lab location for each class. Physics 101 and 202 meets in room 3320, 201 meets in 3316, and 207 in 3317, 208 in 3315. All these lab classes are in the same wing. So if you enter from one side of the Temple building, these labs are located in the third floor of the building. Now let's check our Canvas courses. So when you log in onto your Canvas, on the dashboard, you should be able to see any of these courses on your dashboard. So if you are not, like according to your registered class. So for example, if you are in Physics 201 or 202, you should be able to see either of these depending on your enrolled class. For Physics 207 and 208, if you don't see these Canvas courses, that means you have not registered to a lab class. So please go ahead and check your e-services for class enrollment and make sure you are enrolled in one of the lab classes because it is required for your class. The lab manuals, we will provide you with the lab manual at no additional cost. So please come to the first lab meeting on the week of August 29th, and on the first day of class, your instructor will provide you a lab manual that has the access to our lab introduction, then introduction assignment, and also all the other labs. And you are required to bring this lab manual with you for the entire semester. So have it nicely attached to a folder and bring that folder to your class. The lab schedules we'll try our best to follow the lab schedule, but sometimes depending on the equipments and other reasons, we might change the order. So it's better to bring the entire lab manual with you so you will not miss any of the labs. These are the things that you need to do before you attend your first lab. So make sure what time is your class meets, because we are measuring a whole bunch of lab sections. So you are required to attend your enroll section because we have a cap in our lab rooms. You cannot randomly attend to a lab section. You need to attend to your enroll lab section. So please check your e-services to services and get to know like what time your lab meets and in which room. And then check the lab Canvas course. Go through, read the homepage. Please read the homepage. There are only few information there, but make sure you read the information there. That's our introduction. And then check the schedule on Canvas. So there's a link to a syllabus. If you go to the syllabus, you can read our schedule. And also there's a link to contacts where you can see your instructor's name, email addresses, and the lab times. So make sure you read through the Canvas homepage and check all the links there. And most importantly, try to complete the pre-lab assignment. For 201, 101, and 207, we are doing Introduction to Excel assignment. And for 207 and 202, sorry, 202 and 208, we will be doing measurements and error analysis assignment. So try your best to complete it before the first lab. If you're struggling, please come to the first lab and get help from your instructor. You can either submit it through Canvas or you may bring a printed report or your worksheet to the first lab. Lab attendance is required. we will be dropping the lowest lab grade because there are no makeup labs. We are offering 11 labs and we will be counting 10 labs for your final grade. Try to come on time or 10 minutes before the class time because labs are meeting back to back. So instructor will be starting the lab sessions right away as scheduled. In 201 and 202, in most of the labs, there are pre-lab assignments. So please complete those before you attend in the class. For others, if there are no pre-lab section in your lab write-up, please read the lab manual or the lab write-up for that particular week and make sure you know like what you are going to work on. So for example, let's say your class is working on momentum in your physics 201 class, but maybe we are doing energy in the lab class. So that happens. So we are trying our best to follow the class schedule, but sometimes we will be either behind or ahead of the lecture class. So make sure you read the lab write-up before you attend that particular week lab. During the lab class, you will be working in group of 2. And you're creating your own lab report. Lab report doesn't mean like a regular science lab report. You will instead what you will be doing is you will be taking the lab write-up for that week particular lab, and then you will be working on that lab. So in our lab manual, there's a question followed with a space for your answer, and there are assigned points for this particular question, and you will be grading depending on your answer provided on the given space. And each students are required to turn in their lab report before they leave the lab class. There are no homework, so you will be finishing the work in the class, which is a good thing. So you don't need to worry about like working on the lab assignments at home, right? So you'll be submitting your final lab report before you leave the lab class, and your instructor will be grading those labs and record those grades onto the Canvas grade book before the next lab meeting. So weekly, you will be receiving your graded lab report and the grade. And it is your responsibility to check the Canvas gradebook and make sure your lab grades are entered properly. Don't wait for the end of the semester to do any corrections. Do it right away. So talk to your instructor and make sure your grades being recorded properly onto your lab Canvas gradebook. And we are not allowed you to bring any food or drinks into the labs. Of course, this is a physics lab, so we don't have that much safety concerns. We are not using chemicals, things like in chemistry labs. However, we will be using weights, so better you wear a proper shoes when you come into the labs, and especially don't bring any drinks or foods into the lab. We have computers and sensors, so it's a big concern from our side. So don't bring especially drinks to the labs. And we are not allowed you to use the labs in the class, but if you're using your calculator from out of your cell phone, please take the permission from your instructor. Yeah, as I mentioned, each of you need to submit your lab report. Your grade will depend on that lab report. And then we will be recording those grades onto Canvas. And then your professor will be transporting it to the long kappa or the Canvas, depending on what they will be using. And then you need to complete the reports neatly and submit properly to your instructor. If you take the lab report home and bring it to the next class, we will not be accepting your lab report. So make sure you submit the lab report before you leave the group. Then grading criteria, as I mentioned, we will be grading you depending on your lab report. So it's 100% scale goes to your lab report. So lab report should include the answers to each question, and then a graph if there's one, or sketches if there's one, and also the data tables properly printed and labeled nicely. So depending all of these, like for example, in the lab manual, it might say print Y versus X graph, and it's 10 points. So 10 points does not mean just a printed graph sheet. Your graph should include a title and access titles, and then the proper scale. And if there's a trend line, then you need to show the trend line properly and the equation properly. So all these will be counting when we are counting your final grade for the labs. We will be using the lab computers and printers in the lab. Especially, we will be using sensors that connected to the interfaces. We are using Pasco 550 or 850 interface, and the data collection software is the Pasco Capstone. We will be providing, in most of the labs, we will be providing you the pre-built Capstone file. So you're not struggling with learning about the Pasco Capstone. And those links are available on the Canvas page. If you're trying to open it on your computer, it might not allow you to open it. However, you need to use your VCU, EID, and password to log into the Canvas. And then even to access these files, you need to use your VCU, EID, and password. These files will better to open only in the lab computers, and those lab computers are networked with the printers, so you may print the graphs or any other documents from there, but make sure you use our printers and lab computers properly only for the physics lab related work. All right, now I will give you a brief tour to the Canvas page. From your dashboard, select your lab Canvas page, and if you click on it, it will open to the home page of the Canvas course. So here I'm using the University Physics Lab 2, that is Physics 208 lab Canvas page. So as you see here, this is our home page where we have all the information that you need, the lab starting date and some other information. And here's the link to the data collection software. So if you click on it, it will take you to a Google Drive where you need to log in with your EID and password. Use the VCU email, not your general emails. And then here you may find the instructor's contact. So if you click on here, it will take you to a chart with lab sections and the instructor names. And as I mentioned, there are no makeup labs, but we will be dropping the lowest lab grade. However, if you are in a sport group or anything like that you know ahead of time, then you may contact me using my email address, and I will try my best to accommodate, but it's not guaranteed. Now, on this side of the Canvas course, you may see the announcement and the syllabus. If you click on the syllabus, you may download our lab schedule and the general laboratory policies. On the lab schedule, you may see the lab date and which lab we will be working on that particular day. Then on the modules, under the assignments, you will see our first lab assignment. This is the only online lab assignments that we will be working on. All the labs will be in person, and you are required to attend the lab meeting. So this is the first lab assignment. This is we consider this as a pre-lab assignment before the first lab. So if you click on this one, you will see, I ask you to watch this video first and then start working on this assignment. So there will be I'm sorry, my network is very slow. So no, actually I locked it until 21st. So that's why you cannot see it. So when you open this one, you will see a PDF file with the assignment and then a worksheet, both in PDF format and the Word format. You may work on the PDF doc if you have the access. If not, write your answers on a paper and scan it and save it as a PDF, and then you can submit it through Canvas. Then the grades will be available on the grade book over here. So once you submit your assignments, like let's say first lab, so you submit your first lab assignment to your instructor, and that instructor will be grading that lab report, and the grades will be entered over here weekly. So it's your responsibility to check your grade book and make sure the lab grades being recorded properly. And also please collect your graded lab reports once a week from your instructor. All right, so that is all for now. I look forward to meeting you on the first week of lab. in the week of August 29th. There are no labs next week. That's week of August 23rd. You will be attending to your lecture class, and your professors will provide you more information about the labs and the course structure. Thank you so much. I'll see you around.